Welcome to the Milford School Committee meeting of December 6th. This meeting is being recorded and the media is present. If there is anyone who wishes to record the meeting, please contact any member of the committee or of the superintendent's administration. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. We actually have two sets of minutes to approve tonight, one for the regular session of November 15th and the other for the executive session of November 15th. Since everyone here could be at both of those sessions, we can all vote on those as one single motion. So if I can have a motion from Dawn, a second from Mike, to approve the regular minutes and the executive session minutes of November 15th. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor. The motion carries. The next item on our agenda is announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Does any member have any announcements, correspondence, or distributions?
Just wanted to thank Mike Tempesta and congratulate him for running that. Was it the academic decathlon here 2 weekends ago? Sure. He gave me an invite. I had a chance to come up, and the thing that I loved about it was you have every school had 3 A students, 3 B students, and 3 C students. So it's kind of nice to see an academic event where it wasn't just the elite kids in the school, and they had schools as far away as Pittsfield and BC High, and it's just a really good collection of schools. And these kids volunteered their time to take this on, and they were here all day long. I mean, this was, I think it's 6 or 7 courses of tests of 45 minutes each, and so it was pretty vigorous. And not only to Mike, but we should thank the kids that volunteered to help out that day, because he had an amazing crew here that just made sure everything was done in a timely manner. So it was just a nice event.
Yeah, I mean, that's no small task either. I mean, there were a lot of students. Actually, I participated in one when I was in high school. I think it was in Canton or someplace, and it was a big deal. There was a lot of people that were necessary. There was a lot of organization required. There was a lot of people moving, so it's no small task to put one of those on. So that is terrific.
Just to add to that, Mr. Chairman, I stopped up here that day as well, and it was very well organized and well run. In fact, I took a walk around as well that day, and the same day there was volunteers, kids volunteering up in the catwalk, painting the columns red.
Sure.
And it looks wonderful. In fact, even just driving by it at night when the lights are on, you can really notice a difference too. So
that's great.
It was very nice.
That's great. Scott?
Yeah, just wanted to recognize, I know that a number of the schools are doing their teacher conferences this week. I had an opportunity to attend a couple as a parent, not as a school committee member, but certainly wanted to commend the teachers, as always. Do a great job, very informative. They're very well organized. They've got a lot of kids and a lot of students that they incorporate to help for volunteering, very well run by the administrators, a couple of who are here tonight. But certainly want to thank the teachers. I know though it's part of their contract, I also know it's an evening out, and it's
right.
It's above and beyond what their normal work day would be, and certainly wanted to commend them for that and the extra effort. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Distributions, Bob, announcements, anything pop up since last Thursday?
Nothing this evening.
The next item on our agenda is our invitation to speak. Did anyone come today to speak to the committee? Yeah, I don't see anyone. So I'll go to the next item on our agenda, which is our blackout bullying presentation. We're very fortunate that we have a student, Rebecca Rollo, came to speak to us tonight. It really is a pleasure, and we're so glad that she could donate some time to the committee and to come in and to address us. And so we're really excited to hear what you have to say, and if you'd like to come on up and take a seat. So the presentation, what we asked you to come in and speak about, was a presentation that you had recently attended. It's called the blackout bullying, and so I guess I'll let you maybe tell us a little bit about the presentation and what you learned from it, and then maybe some of the members will have some questions.
So it started off with us going to watch the documentary on bullying, and that was really nice because it showed a variety of different students and ages and the ways that bullying in the school systems especially affected their lives, not only attending school but their home life and emotionally and mentally as well. And it really showed how just a few people can really make a difference and how bullying can be stopped and prevented by that matter. They gave us really good suggestions as far as communicating with the other school members and the clubs that they had going on. One of the things that we found that would help Milford High personally would be the ACT Club, I believe it was called. And so it stands for
All come together,
All Come Together.
and Fall River runs it.
Right. That'd be really great for Milford High to kind of create a more positive atmosphere amongst the students and the staff as well. Because from the documentary, we saw that it's really not just the student body that needs to step up. It needs to be coordinated between the teachers, the faculty, all administration, and the students as well in order to be successful to kind of prevent bullying from happening in the school systems.
So the ACT Club was based on the premise of bringing all of the demographics in the building together. So in our community, I mean, it's just very diverse, and we are all aware of that. So the club would like target, you know, we would hope to get, you know, some athletes, some kids that would focus on the academic decathlon, some of our minority students. And that is really just kind of the premise of all coming together. And like Becca said, including as many teachers as possible. So that was really what, I think that was one of the things we found most interesting. And Fall River runs that, and they have, not the exact demographic, but, you know, a similar sense of diversity within their school. So that, I think, was something that we came out with.
Yep. Another thing that, I don't know what school system did, but they did sort of like a challenge day, and it's where, say like one grade you choose like freshmen or sophomores, they come together, and it's more of a time to relate to one another, to see that you're not the only one going through circumstances in your life that are difficult. So that was also a good thing that could be possible for Milford High. Then from there we went to the rally towards the State House, was it? And that was really nice. It was kind of motivating to kind of be with like a bunch of people ready to make a change within their own school systems. And we listened to Governor Patrick give a speech on leadership and how you can stand up and actually make a difference in your school system. So that was very nice.
That's great. Can you tell us how you became involved in this presentation and why you got to go to the State House?
So at Milford High, we have a program called Peer Mediation. And in mediation, it's a program where students get the opportunity to assist their peers to resolve conflicts within, like, the high school. So it's more of a way for students to kind of, without getting administration involved too much, kind of allows them to resolve their conflicts, I guess. And so I'm involved in that. I do peer-to-peer counseling with some students. So I'm kind of involved with the whole positive change in Milford High.
Is it a sort of a career path that you're starting to lock in on? Or?
Yeah, I want to go into some field in psychology, so getting to be in Milford High, it's really helped a lot because, as Ms. Bird was saying, we're very diverse. We have different personalities, cultures, and being able to kind of get the opportunity to come in contact with all of that, it broadens my understanding of people in general and how to communicate well with others. So it'll definitely help me in the future.
That's great. I want to open the floor to any members who have any questions? Mike?
As you know, there's many different kinds of bullying. There's physical, there's verbal, there's cyber. Did they touch on that, and what's the number one bullying that they see going on today? If there is one, are they all equal, or?
Well, they're not all equal. There are some that kind of dominate others. One really big one that's on the rise is the cyberbullying. Because kids can kind of hide behind a screen, and because of that, they have more courage to say things that they wouldn't normally say face-to-face with someone, and just how quickly using the internet, like, news can spread. All you have to do is hit a button and a comment or anything is posted to 587 of your Facebook friends. So it was definitely saying how the use of social media amongst young students is definitely influencing bullying a lot.
Any suggestions on how people should handle that?
Wow. Handling cyberbullying, it's how they would handle it, like if you were being bullied, or how,
Or you as a
What would
peer
you say?
mediator?
as a peer mediator, if someone came. Well, mediation doesn't handle bullying per se. We hand that to administration because of the legalness now with it. But what would you?
What peer mediators are trained to do is identify bullying, because oftentimes the victims of bullies won't say, I'm being bullied, because they're too afraid to do so. So one thing that students like Becca and other of the senior mediators especially are trained to be like, okay, something's not right, this kid is definitely being victimized. And so that's one of the great things about peer mediation as well, because we're able to identify those at-risk students and get them the help they need.
One of the things that I think, congratulations on
Thank you.
going and bringing us back that important information. Spirit, thank you too for all the effort that you do throughout the years as well. What I was going to say is too, like statewide, they more or less have that awareness campaign to more or less, gives different schools throughout the state a little shaken up to say, listen, this is what you have to do. So maybe, something like that, I was so glad to hear that you're continuing this through that ACT group, because like I said, they can bring it to you on a statewide basis, but it's up to you to bring it to us on a local basis. And the students would more or less listen if it comes from a school committee or if it comes from a administration or a principal, but they're more apt to follow more if it comes from the students, their own contemporaries. And I think that's where the awareness factor comes in, that, we get it as adults, but also as students, you guys get it and girls get it as well. So I think, and if you keep pushing that on these individuals who think that bullying is still cool, it's up to you individuals to let them know that it's really not. More or less, I know, and I've read other schools, to keep the awareness going on a local basis or on an individual basis as a district. There's some schools that would have like a bullying, an anti-bullying awareness day, where they have a proclamation where it's actually read and signed by the chairman of the school committee and also the superintendent of schools, that, you more or less make it an anti-bullying awareness day to more or less kick off a program that you're going to have too. So that's something that you can consider as well.
Right.
Anyway, thanks so much. Very, very informative. Thank you too.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, Paul, because it seems to me the more you talk about bullying and the more you expose students to how hurtful it can be, the more reaction you'll end up getting, and things that we sort of take for granted, that bullying is wrong and that you shouldn't do it. The more exposure we have and the more we speak about it, and the more we demonstrate how hurtful it can be, the more students will just choose to not do it, I think, is, you know what I mean? If it doesn't need to be, well, this is wrong, so don't do it. It's, well, this is hurtful, and your peer group's not going to appreciate it, and they're not going to like it. And I think that, giving that guidance, I know that the program that we ran down at the Memorial School, there was a lot of very positive reaction that we got from that. And it was just sort of beginning at a very young age, demonstrating how this is hurtful, this is bad, this is wrong. And, if we could find a way to organize and carry a program like that, or internalize a program like that in the school system and carry it from the elementary school, straight up through middle school and high school, I think it'd be hugely beneficial. I know, and Mike already mentioned this, one thing that we struggled on, if you remember, when we sat and were writing the bullying policy, we didn't even know how to get our heads around the cyberbullying. It's not bullying that I was ever exposed to. When we were all students, it was, bullying was in the schoolyard and it was fistfights. It wasn't, it wasn't finding ways to really torment children when they get home so they don't feel like they want to come to school anymore. And I think the more we talk about that, and the more organized we get about sort of conveying that this isn't right to a lot of the students, I think the better off we're going to be. That ACT program, is that something that Fall River came up with themselves, or is that sort of a national program that they've adopted?
I'm not certain. One of the great parts of the day was after the march through the Common at the State House, there was kind of a town hall type meeting where schools were just volunteering things that they do. And that was something that just really stood out to us. And every June, there's a new, I train new peer mediators. We do like 12 to 15 every year. And taking that concept is definitely something we're going to integrate into the training. Just so we can have kind of a base of, all right, this is the club that we're gonna start, and it's your responsibility to carry it through. And as a senior, Becca will be involved in the training as well, so she'll be able to give that student perspective that, is so necessary.
How many peer mediators do we have right now?
We have about 25 or 30 trained. We have 5 or 6 seniors that train the underclassmen, the inexperienced mediators. What's great is we have a cross-section of our student body. So we have bilingual, trilingual kids. Last year we had to do a mediation in Arabic. So we had, it's just the fact that we can work with so many different cultures and so many absolutely different conflicts. But students like Becca and the other seniors, they're invaluable in training through experience the sophomore and junior mediators that were trained last year. Because we can give them practice, but seeing the seniors in action during a mediation is much different, and that's what's so valuable.
Scott?
Yeah, so again, congratulations on being selected, and, thank you, you did a great job presenting as well. I know it's not easy always to come and give a presentation in front of a large group, so nice job on that. Just to kind of further explore, is there something that we can do, and I don't know whether if you guys would do that or if we can, as a committee, start to explore the opportunity to, I think you kind of touched on it, Patrick, of begin to look to bring some sort of a program to Milford, and at least explore the feasibility of it, of adding some level of a program where we can continue to bring out bullying and continue, not just, we have a policy on it, but like this ACT program, if that's it, great, maybe we use that as a format. Are there national organizations and groups that we can begin to belong to? I know we've obviously pioneered the mentorship and the mediation here, but is there an opportunity where we could either join in like a SAD chapter, but for bullying, so to
Right.
speak?
I could just comment on that for a moment. You've heard some prior presentations about PBIS and the positive behavioral. So we have really two things happening. One is at the high school level, is the peer mediation piece, but we're really trying to create a culture from kindergarten, pre-K through, where the expectation is that, so you have the bullying issues you may have to resolve from time to time, but you're actually creating the expectation that that behavior is not okay, and it's institutionalizing that. So that's the effort at the elementary level, and by the time it catches up to the high school level, so in the meanwhile, there's some gap filler programs like you're talking about, and we're looking at that. We are expanding the PBIS now up to middle school, and we've pushed it down to the preschool. It started in grade 3, because that's where the grant funding was available to us. But over the years, the school district, when the grant dried up, we took on that as a matter in our local budget to say this is important to us as a school district. So it is part and parcel to our positive behavioral intervention and support system, but there are areas that are gaps. So we are looking, we're aware of that. It's in programs like this one will be something where we would be well served to have Becca and to have Gina sit with us in the bullying policy, and to make sure that we bring that to life. And the idea of having a bullying day or a blackout bullying campaign, I recall that being brought up at Stacy's school. Was it Paul Peliquin? Nancy,
No, that actually I believe was a state initiative from Governor Patrick, who wanted to do a blackout bullying day, and that's where everyone were to wear black to school and then sign the banner if they felt like they could uphold that day. So that was kind of a state initiative that the middle school did participate in last year.
There was something else coming forward that he proposed doing at Stacy School. You do sort of these vignettes.
And I actually were talking to the ladies out in the foyer when we were coming in that our student council at Stacy is becoming very, very active, and they have bought video Hello. Okay, honey. They bought video equipment that is going to allow them to actually do some video production. The student council has just come up with a new Winter Wonderland dance, and all the proceeds that are collected from that are going to go 100% to the formation of a anti-bullying kind of video and program assembly. So instead of us bringing in a national organization, which would be great, it's a one-time shot. We're actually fostering and empowering student leaders to develop their own programming, because we feel like it will be more powerful, just like these ladies are doing. And I've had the pleasure of working with Gina in the past on mediation. She does a great job, is to empower the students to lead, empower the students to affect change, and then that doesn't go away. And we're funding ourselves instead of having to pay large sums of money to bring in national organizations or, programming, which is awesome, but it's certainly very expensive, like $5,000 to bring in a program we did a few years ago. And it's this way, I think, the power, you're having actual students doing the production,
Right.
coming up with the role-playing, coming up with the examples and assembly ideas, and it's very powerful. So I'm really excited that's happening down at Stacy, and I'd like to give kudos to the student leaders and as well as the student council advisors for getting on board with that this year.
Thanks, Nancy. And it's the same at the elementary level. I had a chance to watch Brookside School, for example. Pat Demore played the role of the bully on stage, and teachers were acting it out, and then they would stop and they would talk to the kids and say, what are you seeing wrong here? So you really kind of bring it to life, and having teachers and kids in the district act that out, role play that, it's really been powerful. And so it is happening. Not to sound like we're not really playing catch up with it. We are doing it. It can be better, and I think ways that we can really celebrate the fact that we're all taking a stand against it together as a district would be a powerful next step.
I think also we've seen that whenever we have a presentation or we have some sort of an event, that we get such an overwhelmingly positive response from the students. In the 8th grade, I believe they had a day where they were absolutely silent in the hallways when they were changing classes, and that was in acknowledgement that bullying is wrong and that they shouldn't be doing those things. And it was funny. I hear stories of students shushing each other as they're walking through the hallway because they were being too noisy. And I honestly, and I have to admit, I'm almost embarrassed to say I didn't realize that our peer mediation group in the high school was so strong. What a tremendous resource that is for us. And thank you so much for participating in it and for organizing it and for running that. And I hope that we can do a better job of giving you the time and the resources that you need to really spread your message to the rest of the school district.
Terrific.
And any other members?
You didn't seem nervous at all tonight. I had this. I did a great job.
I just want to say that going off of the ACT group, one thing that I really took from the Stand Up to Bullying was to really stand up. Because the reason why bullying is mainly successful is because students feel like they're the minority. Like the bullies have the power, that they're wrong and they're right. So by creating the ACT group and the students coming all together, literally, it's showing that they have the power, that they can outnumber the bullies, and therefore giving them less power. So that would really be a great idea for the school system.
Absolutely.
People forget that deep down inside a bully is a coward.
That's right.
They only have the power from the fear
Yeah.
you give them. Yep.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Thank you so
Well
much.
said.
Thank you so much for coming in.
That
Thank
was
you.
just a wonderful quote. I hope you got that. That was beautiful.
The next item on our agenda is a presentation from the Stacy Middle School and Middle School East Administration. Ms. Angelini, if you wouldn't mind coming up and joining us. And I just wanted to say, for the public benefit, you did prepare an extensive report that you delivered to us. No, really, and I really do thank you so much for preparing that document for us. I know we've all had a chance to review it, so I wish we had time to review all of it, but if you could pick some highlights,
You betcha.
that would be terrific.
Basically, I am here with Noah Collins, who is the new assistant principal, and I wanted him, actually, he was very nice to come on up and ask if he could attend too. This is his really first formal school committee meeting as an administrator at Stacy, and I just want to, I don't want to embarrass you, but he's really doing quite a nice job. He and Mrs. Craig work very, very well together, and we've had some really good transitioning this year. Mr. Collins also works across campuses, working on a few initiatives at Middle School East. He was hired to work across both campuses, so he's here on behalf of Stacy as well as Middle School East. I also want to commend Mrs. Burns and Mrs. Craig. The team that we have in place is allowing the merge to be probably more successful than people might have thought it would be. It's been one of those things that you have people who really care and who are willing to work together in the best interests of students and staff. And I would like to commend the administrative team, not including myself, the people who are supporting me as I try to do the merge and make it successful. I can't say enough about what they've done and how they've supported the initiative, and I just wanted to say that publicly to all of you that they've been wonderful, as well as all of the ancillary people who always become self-proclaimed leaders who really are so invested in making what's going on at the middle level excellent. So I would like to take the opportunity as well to commend Middle School East as well as Stacy Middle School. I know that's not part of the report, but I really think that's important because you wouldn't have that report in front of you without all these people working together to make that work. So thank you for letting me say that. So the opening of both schools was very successful. As always, the custodial staff, Rob Quinn, Brian Lorindo, were awesome, really trying to pull all of this stuff together, get everything cleaned, get it back in place, get things put back in the appropriate place after removing it all is a challenge in itself, so they did a wonderful job with that. We did establish with Mr. Collins, he picked up where a previous administrator had left off with the PBIS initiative, just to piggyback off of what Bob said. And perhaps, just if you don't mind, I'll quickly say that that initiative is happening again because there are about 4 or 5 teachers at each building who are really believing in that initiative, and they're taking a hold of it and leading it. At Stacy Middle School, they have developed a focus point, and that's with collaboration through the staff. There was a vote taken to say, where do you want to focus on improving the behaviors? So they did some data analysis this summer, and we shared it with the PBIS team, and based on that data, they decided to focus on behaviors in the hallways, cafeteria, and hopefully encouraging proper behavior and use within the lavatories for cleanliness and hygiene. Okay, so that's going really well. Facilities and grounds-wise, at the middle schools, there was a lot of different things that were upgraded, things that you usually upgrade, whether it's the fire alarms being tested, air handlers being changed out. Rugs were replaced at Stacy Middle School, so that's been an ongoing thing since '95. So things need to be replaced. They were wearing out, so that happened this summer. The gym floors in both schools were refinished, and that it looks wonderful. At Middle School East, the gymnasium was painted white and red to try to develop the culture of spirit, so kids, when they begin to prepare for their transition to Milford High School, those are the colors that they're going to be moving into, and those are the colors that are really worn by the community use programs and the town teams. So that really, I think, was a nice visual to have added into Middle School East. Within Middle School East, there was also a large cleanup in a room that was downstairs that almost became a dumping ground. Kind of yucky for a parent to go into that kind of room. That's where you'd have your meetings, your formal meetings, so that we spent a lot of time cleaning that up and adding some stencils, as well as rearrangement of the media center, an additional wireless lab in the media center. We did some alignment down in one of the computer labs at Middle School East, Computer Lab 1. I noticed when I was doing my walkthroughs in the summer that there was a stage there, and it was discovered by me that music was playing in the media center, so I did some rearranging during the extension period, closed down Lab 1, allowed the music people to perform on that stage, so it's more of a real kind of thing for the kids performing, and it allows the media center to be freed up for academic use, and that's why the wireless system was brought in there to compensate for the lost lab just during that extension period. So now people have 2 labs still, one in the media center and then one in, I call Lab 2 downstairs. Okay. At Stacy Middle School, the guidance seminar area, because there's a large amount of people wanting to use computers with their research. We have a big research initiative in the school improvement plan at Stacy Middle School, and there was computers similar to this put in the media center, so there's 6 mini laptops in there that have the ability to get on internet, so guidance counselors can do their mini seminars with students with academic planning, goal setting, and organizational skills in 5th grade. If anyone has any questions, just let me know, and Give me the signal to stop, because I'm just going to brag about it forever, okay? We had a lot of new faculty come into Stacy Middle School. We also had a lot of movement within Stacy Middle School, and we had 7 new faculty at Middle School East. So there was a lot of hiring, a lot of movement, a lot of shuffling. So that all went well, and everybody's moving forward pretty nicely. The greatest part about it is especially you see the, I'd say, seasoned teachers really kind of stepping up to assist the new people on staff, and I always think that's very nice. You see that across both the campuses, and I feel very lucky. Mr. Consigli really has embedded Middle School East with technology, and really that is a very special school, very close-knit, I would say, bunch of colleagues there, and it's been a pleasure to get to know all those people. If you want to talk, you can let me know. Okay. We also had some movements with foreign language. We did, because of budget cuts, unfortunately, we lost the foreign language program, but through a lot of work through central office, we were able to find an individual who is very qualified to teach 2 periods. We have 12 students who are taking French, who are interested in moving forward with French. So that is happening at Stacy Middle School currently, which is very nice. So we were able to get that for the kids who wanted to continue to study that. I also want to highlight the work Jen Lancaster, who is the new ELL director for the district, who has really done a great job, I think, and I'm partial because she worked at Stacy, so I know her work ethic, but with the RTI and the workshop model, we're doing a lot of targeting with goal setting. With the new evaluation process, all of the teachers at Stacy Middle School, as well as Middle School East, completed all phases of self-assessment, goal setting, plan development, and they are on the step 3 of the evaluation process, which is collecting evidence. Within that whole premise of goal setting, one of the big highlights is you need to be able to write objectives properly. You know, SMART goals are similar to the objectives teachers are writing. You want to be able to say what's going to happen and what kids should be able to do before they leave your classroom. So one of the initiatives we've been working at Stacy for quite a few years is to post lesson objectives, and we've taken it to the next step with the workshop model that came in nicely through central office with Mike Roulan, who was a gentleman who came from the outside in doing some trainings. And at this point, all people around the middle level are posting target objectives, and Jen was very, very nice. She came in and sat down with the administrative team and worked collaboratively with us, because we heard what teachers were saying. Well, there's so much we're posting because we have to. So what she did was devise a learning language objective. It's like a 4-part kind of formula. So you're having your language objective, your content objective, and the reason that's really imperatively important right now is because with the new WIDA standards that are going to be coming up with ELL, they require both language and content objectives. So I feel the middle level is well prepared to do that type of objective writing because Jen helped us do it. So I wanted to give her some kudos as well. With the numbers, you can see where they are. Enrollment is pretty steady. We're big. We're a big middle school. And Middle School East is also pretty darn full, but things are flowing nicely. People work together to keep the rhythm, as well as the whole PBIS initiative. We're really trying to foster the respect and working together in the best interest of our school community. And Student Council is doing a lot of work with that, creating their own videos. The Washington trip and Heritage Week planning is beginning. We have a permanent sub who is actually dual certified in English and history, and he started with me at Stacy Middle School. He has a strong background in the Boys and Girls Clubs. He was an assistant director. He volunteered to take on and coordinate Heritage Week, so he's very excited about doing that. If you're not sure what that is, that's the kind of program. So some kids go to Washington, and the kids who choose not to go to Washington have something called Heritage Week to participate in, and he will be meeting with teachers tomorrow, actually, to start planning and formulating ideas and programs for that.
That's going to have a different face this year, I think, and it's had in the past, isn't it? I mean, at least that's some of the rumors that I've heard.
Heritage Week?
Yeah, the Heritage Week is going to be something sort of new and exciting that it hasn't been before.
Well-
Not that it wasn't exciting before, but
I don't really know. I know it was always awesome, but I say I want to make this like a wow factor. So kids come back from Washington, they're like, oh, we did this, or oh, we did this, and we saw that. I want the kids at Heritage Week to be able to say, oh yeah, well we did this. So I'm trying to balance the ticket for excitement for the kids who are staying behind for whatever reason. So they have an equally really kind of pumped up time as the
Right.
kids who go to Washington. I also want to commend Mrs. Burns. Good golly, Miss Molly. She knows what she's doing with that trip, and thank goodness I have her. That's all I'm going to say. Nature's Classroom was a success. Awesome, 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 awesome. Over 200 kids participated in that. We had activities for those kids who chose not to participate. A little over 100 stayed behind, and the teachers really came together to provide some really excellent opportunities, whether it's designing and making origami or doing name your pet rock and having to do a real descriptive paragraph on it and aligned with the content, and the long essay for MCAS prep. So the teachers, they really did a good job, in my opinion. Also, I think the highlight, Mrs. Craig worked with the YMCA for the students who stayed behind. So on Monday and Tuesday, there were groups, and Lenny Marcone really was super duper. He helped us with the busing to get the kids there for minimum cost at all. So that was very nice of him. And the kids really, this was really cool. I wish we had the camera. There were some kids who really struggled, who we could say probably will, eventually need to use some pathway programs and things like that in the future, whose faces, they were up on they got them up on the ropes course. So 7th graders go to the Y at the end of the year, and they do, the ropes course, which is, I don't think I could get up there, but these kids were scared, but they did it. And the sense of accomplishment was just fabulous, and they came back and then woo, high five. So they were all very excited. So that was the start of the week, and that really helped kids foster leadership. So on they started with the low ropes, and then they did a lot of leadership training and kind of that type of social interaction, and then they brought them up to the high ropes. So we tried to offer that here, and that was really, really successful, and the kids, I think, really appreciated it. The life roles, I have to give Meg Balsito a lot of recognition. The Life Roles program, which is kind of like the pre to the bistro program up here, just got established, and the East Side Cafe is back in action at Middle School East. So that program is really working wonderfully. The new teacher was a product of Milford High School. She is so self-conscious. It's so important to her to do a very good job. I mean, she's integrating technology with the kids. She has sessions set up, and she's doing a really, really good job for a first-year teacher. We're really happy with her.
Nancy, I didn't even realize that we had a cafe program down at Middle School East.
Yeah, I don't know when, do you guys know when I think it was before, they did have it at one time.
Yeah.
I think 4 years ago.
I don't really know
Maybe
when.
5 years ago.
Was it
Like
that?
4 or
Okay.
5.
So, it's kind of back up and running, so it's nice. It's
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, that's just terrific. It was we were speaking about it last night, as a matter of fact.
It was nice, yeah.
Bob and I were, and I was surprised that it was up and running, and I also heard great things about it.
Yeah, it's
and
nice.
That's a terrific achievement.
And I want to commend the high school teachers. They're really giving Alexis a lot of support in how to run the program, how to manage the shopping and the money, and they're actually trying to start like a peer system where the kids from the high school eventually will be able to be on the bus, and the 8th grade students will be on the bus with the high school kids, and the high school kids will teach the 8th grade kids how to do the shopping for the program. And so they're trying to do some fostering of peer mentoring, which is awesome in that whole thing.
That's fantastic.
The school councils are merging. We've decided to merge the councils across 5 through 8. The PTOs, we decided to keep those separate. So the merge with the 5 through 8, I would like to thank Sidney DeJesus, who is the director of the youth center. He's agreed to be part of the middle school council. So I say my triangle is complete. I call the triangle the middle schools, the youth center, and the library. So the director of the library is also on it. So I really feel like there's going to be a lot of collaboration between those 3 main points, because that's where our middle students hang.
Right.
So I was very happy about that. And it's also going to allow us to do a little bit better planning. We've had some middle school events, you know,
Couple
we
dances.
kind of like,
Kids
bum
night.
out, because there was something really cool going on at the youth center, and we happened to have a dance scheduled on the same day. So now that we have that kind of collaboration, I think we're going to be able to work in the future to make sure that doesn't happen. So all organizations have a real good turnout and kind of working together to help each other. Because Sid always comes in, he does outreach during lunches once a month, and you know, we have that really good relationship. And Sue Edmonds is fabulous. She supports summer reading. She's put our Kia technology internet-based program up on the computers at the library so the kids can go in there and access that. So that's not new. So I'd like to thank you for those people who are kind of putting themselves out there above and beyond their jobs, you know, which is nice. Let's see what else. The PTOs across both campuses are very, very supportive. The PTO at Middle School East can't do enough for people. They're just fabulous. They showed up for the parent-teacher conferences. They had coffee and little treats for the parents. You know, it's late and they're tired, so it was nice. They also had some swagger to sell for the kids, and the kids couldn't. I've been waiting for this all year just to get the class of on a shirt. So that was really neat to see, and that's because of the PTO. So I really want to commend them. And then the PTO at Stacy Middle School really supports us. They did the faculty-student basketball game, kids' night out. They're there for anything and everything you want, and we're going to be having a book fair next year because of the PTO at Stacy. So again, really great stuff. Lots of great concerts happening across the board. What else? I feel I'm babbling, fellows and ladies, so sorry. I just want to make sure I've got everything. And the academic side of things are going very, very well. We have student issues meetings that were established this year at Middle School East as a continuation of what we do at Stacy. That meets once a month, so we have all our service providers as well as administrative team come in and utilize a data chat program that was developed by, collaboratively developed to make sure we don't let anyone slip through the cracks. So we're looking at MCAS scores. Why does that kid have a 60 when he has a 272 on his ELA? You know, so those types of things, it kind of gives us a different picture when you're looking at the data, not just bad behavior, so, or poor behavior, I should say. So that's working pretty well, and the Middle School East community is doing a good job with that as well. Any questions?
Do any members have any questions?
Sure.
So, first, I want to go back to French, because there was
Sure.
quite an uproar that we didn't have a French program. So what are your numbers?
Right now, we have, I believe it's 12 students.
Total.
Correct
I
me
think
if I'm
it's
wrong.
14.
14?
14, yes,
14.
14.
Classes?
Yes.
So there's 7 students each class?
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And then they still have French teacher at 8th grade?
Yes,
Okay.
with full
And those-
classes.
And hopefully those students will continue through.
Her
8th.
classes are much bigger.
Right,
compared to the
because they
14.
started, but they
Yes.
had the 12. Also, the PBIS we keep talking about, do you have kids at Stacy that have been through PBIS, and do you notice a difference? So, is the timing right? Like, did PBIS,
Yes, absolutely it is. That's a really good
It should
question.
be up at the middle
so
school.
how far are they now? I would love to see what it's like if they're
I-
in 7th
I
grade,
I
but
think
I
they're
don't
in
know if they
seventh,
are.
I think they're in 6th grade, the current.
Sixth
I
grade
think
now?
it's 6th grade.
I can't remember.
I think it's 6th grade.
Was-
Had it from kindergarten on.
Okay, so
No, they
it's,
couldn't have
it's
it.
But they
one
had
of
it from
those.
first-
It's
they may have
6 or
had it in
7.
first
It's 6
grade
or
also.
7, but do we see a difference? Well, this is my 8th year as principal there. The building is clean, for the most part. You see little papers once in a while, but I always say, do you love your school? I go, do you love your school? Yes, I love my school. Then why did you walk over that paper? And then, they pick it up. So we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. But I have to really give kudos to the PBIS team. Do you mind if I let Noah speak to that?
No,
'Cause
of
he's-
course. No,
okay.
I'm very curious because,
Yep.
you know, sometimes middle school kids are middle school kids. And, you know, it's the
As
age,
far as the,
whatever,
the
but
Mhm.
I just would
PBIS.
really love to see that that's making an impact on just what it, be respectful, be courteous, the whole 3-part.
Yeah, I
phrase.
think the behavior-wise, the majority of the kids are well-behaved. You know, the stuff that happens a lot of times on the internet, but in the building itself, the kids are very well-behaved, pretty appreciative of one another. You know, there are gonna be some,
Of course.
but not a lot, but I would say overall, has a positive effect on the students.
A lot of it is because the teachers are starting to buy into it. We have some people who are really, they're gonna start their meeting to kind of come up with a
Yep.
reward system now.
Oh, okay.
That's what's happening
That
now.
always works.
Yeah.
So let me look at my list here. So, I'm going down my list here as
Yeah,
you talked
no,
about. So
it's
the
fine.
DC trip?
Yes.
How many
I'll do
s-
my best to answer, okay,
Do
because
you know
that's
how
new for
many
me.
students are going
I
on
do.
that?
I do.
And
I do.
I'm always amazed, because it's quite-
176 right now.
It's quite a big class that
Mm-hmm.
goes to that, and that's quite a trip for people.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say kudos for Heritage Week. I think those kids absolutely, when you send someone to DC and then they come home.
Oh, no, we're
as a
gonna make this
class,
one rocking,
You know,
I'm
I
telling
think,
you.
a Heritage Week, I think that's wonderful for those kids, because there is a good portion that.
178 are staying behind right
Yeah,
now.
that's 2/3 of the class.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's terrific. I'm very happy about that. And, I can't remember the last question.
One of the things they're gonna do at Heritage Week is CSI kind of thing.
Excellent,
You
yeah,
know,
they like that.
They did that last year, and that really was a big hit, so that probably will be one of the components. There's teams that are set up, and every team's gonna be responsible for coming up with activities and planning a day. And then, actually, we sat down with the Mr. Cote and Mrs. Burns, and we started brainstorming, what kind of fillers could we do to take it up a notch? If I said, hey, well, let's stop talking about it, we've been here for an hour, I said, we might not even have to, because the teachers' ideas are flying,
great.
so.
And one of my last points is, now that you have these meetings at Middle East, these monthly meetings
Yeah,
about the
student
students.
issues, yep.
I think that's great. I think that it's probably been a fury for you now, just getting into the groove of both schools, but I think that you're gonna be able to bring
That's an
that
understatement.
perspective from
Yeah.
Stacy. So your students that are 7th graders that may have been issues, because you've been in Stacy and at East, and as well as you, Mr. Collins, I think that's gonna be a huge help to those students.
Can
It's
I,
gonna
that's,
be
I'm
really-
glad you said that, Christine, because one of the things that's kind of neat is our new guidance director is one of the guidance counselors at Stacy Middle School. So she comes over for those
I think
meetings.
that's-
Okay.
it's hard
Mr.
geographically,
Collins
but-
comes over for those meetings. Mrs. Kylie, who does team chair for 7th and 8th, are at both meetings.
That's
And
great.
then, if need be, Mrs. Craig is the liaison to ELL and special ed, and she also crosses over for special ed and ELL. And what has happened now is that people are reaching across the campus about kids a little bit more, and Meredith is being able to bring things back and forth, so it's working pretty
Oh,
well.
I'm really happy about that. I think that's gonna have a huge impact on the students there, because the kids love it, but it's just this little island unto itself. So anything we
Yeah.
can do to cross that bridge for kids
Sure.
is tremendous. And my last thing is, this is a time when BBT, Norfolk Aggie,
Yep.
private schools, I just, not now, but I'd like to know, how many kids are applying.
A lot.
And,
Yeah, that's-
A
and,
lot
you know,
to
that-
BBT.
BBT is always popular, but I just like to get a perspective on how many kids are looking at other places, and then, how many go,
Sure.
So
So
that-
you
there's
want it
different
for St.
reasons.
John's, St. Mark's, BBT?
Yeah, I'd like to,
On St. Charles.
I'd like BBT and, Norfolk Aggie, those, and then there's the private. I think
Okay.
they're two separate kind of,
That's a great suggestion,
issues,
Christine.
but I always, I like to keep a handle on it, because I think it's very telling of what people are looking for.
How
and-
many are applying, and then how many actually go? Is that,
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe
You
like an
know-
exit survey, what's their reason for wanting to?
Yeah,
We'll create an
because
exit survey.
Right.
because I think it's really important to know what makes students look elsewhere, what is it about that, it has to be more than I don't want to go to Milford High. There has to be a bigger decision there, and I want to know what we're doing that would keep our kids here, if
And
that's
and
the
actually,
reason.
if you could also add to that, Nancy, just, we would need to know the breakout, but just how many private school students we have. So I mean, I
Yep.
know that St. Mark's.
That's right, that's
amount.
right.
right.
So
We
the
do all of
different-
them, exactly.
Right.
How many there
Absolutely.
are.
You
I
don't
know
have to
a number who are
individualize it,
very
but-
intent on going to St. John's and Mount St. Charles right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One, some for religious reasons.
that's
Sure.
what I mean,
And so we'll shake it out for you.
Yeah,
My new
just-
guidance counselor at East is fabulous, just absolutely fabulous, Melissa Ashline, and she's got a beat on that pretty well, so we can get that
Great.
put together. May I ask when you would like that by?
Oh, no hurry, no hurry, because
I'll do it.
No,
Don't say
I just
Please,
want,
I'll hear about it, don't.
yeah, no, I know hurry, I just think I would like that perspective.
Yeah, I think, back to the private schools, I think that, some will go because they want to go, to a Catholic school, but others will go because their parents are alumni, and so that's why they would go.
Absolutely.
And so it'd be interesting just to know some of those small pieces, because it might
Sure.
help us.
But if they're
Okay,
going
fine.
because they want more rigor, or
Right.
because we don't offer something at this size of a school, I think that's more important to know. I mean, if we're missing something, some niche that we can easily get to them, then we should know. And
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
rigor, that'll drive me crazy.
I'm
but
very
I
lucky
want
to
that as well.
have Rico Suave on the computer over here, so he can put together a survey on the computer,
Absolutely.
and we can get
Yeah.
that done
No
electronically
hurry,
for you.
it's crazy, but
Yeah.
I just think it's important information.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say, that would probably be the answer for the vocational schools, you know, where something that we can't offer,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, and it's a whole different trade, it's a whole different area of a career that they could take, where Milford High School can't. But the ones that would be interested in, more or less to compare apples to apples, would be, why are people going to private schools? You know, non-vocational schools.
Right, absolutely. Bob?
The other thing that I want to mention to you, Nancy, as a parent of a student at Stacy, I really want to commend the teachers there for the communication they have with me as a parent. And it's not just me, I mean, it's all the parents. We get updates about homework assignments over the weekend and upcoming tests and everything else like that. And as a parent, I can't thank you guys enough for that type of communication. I think it's great.
Well, on behalf of the faculty, we say thank you very much for saying that.
Nancy and Noah, to both of you, Nancy, you're great about, as a coach, recognizing your players, recognizing the team. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge your hard work. This is no easy job for you to take on 2 campuses. I've seen you, actually, I think you've created a rut across the street walking from, I mean, and Nancy's terrific. I'll walk alongside of her if I can keep up with her. And she's moving. I mean, she's talking to everybody along the way, and you've really taken command of this very challenging task in front of you. Would you share with the committee how many evaluations that you have this year, how many observations you've completed?
116 people to evaluate,
Yeah,
and they were all done
116.
on time by November 15th.
Not only is Nancy in compliance with
19-hour
those-
days, though. That's at a cost to me and
Those
my
still-
family, for sure.
Well, I understand, and,
Yeah.
I'm appreciative of your hard work. We talked about that as well. But Nancy continues to be a trendsetter in actually applying this instrument and leading our leadership team on the ground level of that, because it's a, as you know, it's a learning curve for everybody at this table and for myself and for all the principals. But Nancy seems to come out ahead of the pack, and it's probably just more to keep yourself organized. So as a result of that, you're staying ahead of it. But you're doing a terrific job with that, and the feedback that I've been getting all around has been very positive, and I know it's not been easy. So I'll do what I can to keep you smiling. So thank you for all your hard work.
Okay. I have to say again, I am doing this because I know I don't have to worry, because I have Noah and Dawn and Connie. I have Megan Burke and Paul Jakes running Nature's Classroom. I have every team working their own little mini school within our big school. So the reason Stacy Middle School and Middle School East are successful is because the people that Mr. Consigli chose to put in there and the people that my team chose to put in at Stacy. Again, trying to find the people who want to be leaders and trying to find those strengths and then empower them to bring those to leadership. So I am doing this because I know I don't have to go to that because Vicky's running that, and I don't have to go to that because Becky's running that. So do you know what I mean? So I have a lot of confidence, as the administrative team has a lot of confidence with the people that we're working with.
I just have a question about the evaluation.
Sure.
Because it's new.
Yeah,
It's
go
not
ahead,
something
Helen.
that Milford's doing uniquely. It's,
Yeah, everywhere.
everyone has to do it. But do you think it'll get better? Do you think part of the intense work that's gone into it is because it's new to you, to the teachers, so when you go through it next year or the next time around? Or is it always going to be that intense?
That's a really good question. I think, do you mind if I speak candidly?
No, please.
I
You've had that
think
chat.
that just with my studying of it, because I don't like to be bad, I have that little issue. I think it will be easier for everyone next year. There were significant amounts of time helping people to get through the SMART goal process. What is a self-assessment? What do I do that for? My personal self-assessment goes with the teacher rubric. I have to do the student self-assessment using student data. That was a struggle, and we kind of didn't want to whack anyone with that piece of it because that's hard. And then the goal setting, the SMART goal setting is just to get it so it's measurable. Everyone's always done goals, but to do a measurable goal, and then write steps that are going to allow you to get to that measurable goal. So the difficult part, honestly, Christine, is the amount of time you had to talk with people about this. There were people I would sit down for literally 3 or 4 times, and there were a few I didn't have to, they were like, bang, bang, boom, they've got it done. It was nice, but a large amount of people struggled with it. And it wasn't that they can't do it, it's like, am I doing this right? Is this right? So you keep trying to give a model. So do I think teachers are gonna have a much easier time with that next year? Absolutely. The thing that's difficult for administrators, though, is there's a lot of steps with sit down, conference, do this, do that. But once we get the cycle, the 5-step cycle going, the self-assessment, which happens in the beginning, and that drives everything, to tell you the truth. That's where you kind of reflect on yourself, and you have to be honest. Am I doing that well, or am I not doing that well? That's a tricky thing for people to admit out loud. So that can happen during the Summit of Eval, which is actually going to occur in June. So you can kind of start that process so it rolls. I think the thing that put some of us administrators across the state behind the 8 ball is if you didn't, by the time you did the trainings and you got things going, you weren't really starting those observations till, I don't even know, mid-October.
Yeah.
And you really need to hit the ground running right away in September. So, and then Bob was awesome. Him and Kathy were able to fund Baseline Edge, which is a computerized program, which is going to allow us to manage the paper. And so, like, you'll have all your people, and you can just go, if I said I'm going to pick on, Don, okay, and Don, everything Don has to accomplish as a teacher, lists on the computer, and then Don can upload all his evidence up on there, so it's all managed. Right now, that's my biggest fear. I have a file cabinet, and I'm like, where am I going to put how am I going to get, where am I putting all this? And the teacher's like, what do I have to give you? So there's a lot of that going on. But do I think it will get better? Yes. Do I still think it's going to be a huge task? Yes. Do I think it's going to make a difference? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I already
Seen it
see it.
already.
I already see it. I do.
But you
I
gotta
really
practice it,
really
so.
do. It's just like, good golly, whew.
Yeah.
You got to move it to get it done. Really. No
Thank you.
fiddle
You have a
faddle.
lot of staff,
No
so
diddle
it's hard.
daddling. That's for sure for anybody. Mm.
How much caffeine did you have tonight?
One. This is from an old jock who can drum it up when she needs to. That's good being an old athlete. You can bring it when you need to. And I have good people that are helping me bring it, so very good.
Thank you, Nancy.
Anything
Thank you,
else?
Noel.
Thank you both.
Okay,
I
and
appreciate
again,
it. And,
Get that survey.
no, I'm,
he's really good with the computer. I'm like, ah!
no, I'm very sorry that no one had any tough questions for you tonight.
Well,
We'll get together after the meeting and make sure next time that you come,
Next time.
each of us will
All
have
right,
something by heart.
appreciate that.
I gotta let you know that he came into a tricky situation with scheduling, and I'm not a scheduler. I've never been in the position where I become the scheduler, and he picked it up, and he's really picked it up very, very well, and I think that's his business background. Both Dawn and Noah have business backgrounds. I'm not sure if you are aware of that, so they have a different viewpoint as well when they're approaching a project or a problem, so that makes it very, very useful for me. So again, my areas of need are their areas of strength. That's why I think we work well together,
Absolutely.
and we're not afraid to admit that. I'm like, I can't do this, someone help me, so it works out well,
That's great.
Okay, everybody?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank you,
you.
Nancy. Thanks, Noah. Need a nap after that one.
The next item on our agenda is the report of the superintendent of schools. Yeah, it is.
What's the matter, Kat? You good?
What's that?
I'd like to invite Lucy to the table for this part of the agenda. This is really more celebratory than anything else. Lucy, as you're taking your seat, I'll have you explain this in a moment. As the committee knows, we've been talking about accreditation. You've seen that firsthand. Shining Star was, obviously leading the way with accreditation for a number of years, and here we are again. So if you just tell us, first of all, congratulations to you and to your team down there. Lucy, you've been doing a terrific job at Shining Star. Maybe just tell us, for the benefit of the committee, this is slightly different than the NAEYC, is different than the NEASC. The two different accreditation, reputable accreditation organizations. Maybe just talk about what the process was for your team, what you had to go through, and where you need to maybe improve as a school,
Okay.
and some of the strengths, just the highlights.
Okay. The process was very much like the process that everybody went through with NEASC. We didn't have the number of assessors that the NEASC that the other schools had. We had one site assessor. But basically, the preparation was probably the most challenging for us just because it involves a lot of time and effort on the teacher's parts and on my part, just compiling the program portfolios and the classroom portfolios. So there's 10 standards that we are rated on, and at the end, after we've put everything together and the assessor has come in and looked at every single classroom, they send a report out and they tell you the areas that you've done extremely well in, the ones that you need improvement on, and the ones that maybe that you didn't pass. I can just tell you briefly the standards and where we did extremely well. We were commended for relationships, teaching, assessment, families, community relationships, and leadership and management. So those 6 areas we got 100% or higher. I don't know how you can get more than 100%, but we did on some of those. And then there were 4 areas that we did extremely well in. We were always, I think our, the one that we needed the most work on was curriculum. We got an 83 on curriculum. They just said that basically the areas that we need for ongoing improvement were cognitive development in science and in social studies and appreciation of the arts. So even though we met the criteria and we did well, that's just an area for improvement. The other area was teachers. 80% of our faculty, including our teaching assistants or behavior assistants, they want to have early childhood background. So when we're hiring for BAs, in the past, we would just, if somebody was just coming into the field or was a high school graduate, we would hire them. Now we're looking at it more carefully, and the last time I was here, I was telling you that most of the new hires that we've hired recently do have bachelor's degrees. They all have had an early childhood background. So if we were to be rated on that now, we probably would get a 90% or higher. But at the time when we started putting together the portfolio, some of our 20% of our population did not have an early childhood background. That excludes our professional staff. Our professional staff, the teachers, and our specialists are fine. This was more the paraprofessionals. So we are working towards that, and we are hiring now early childhood backgrounds. And then physical environment, I'm not really sure I don't know where we need to improve on. It said building and physical design, which we have no control over, and environmental health. And these are things, maybe documentation that maybe I didn't have. I think we had most of it. Rob Quinn was great in providing all of the information about asbestos or any of those kind of documents. The building and physical design, it could be anything. We don't get a written report, so I'm not sure where we're lacking there. It could be that we're in the high school. It could be the parking lot's right there. I don't know. They said that they're going to send a more complete report, and I can let you know. But other than that, we did really well. We're glad it's over, and all we have to do now is submit an annual report every year for the next 5 years, and we'll go through it again. It is something, too, I think that we've talked about a little bit, whether or not we want to continue on with NAEYC or join the NEASC team. I think it's something to consider. We might want to just, since we already do NEASC with the rest of the school, it might be something that Shining Star should look into as far as being on board with everybody else. So we can talk about that.
I think it's just a great testament to this school district as to how much work we do, and we haven't seen the report yet of the draft for the elementary, but we're a short time away from being fully accredited pre-K through 12 as a school district, and I challenge we can compare ourselves. We talked about other comparison towns. I challenge other towns to show those credentials. And but that standard of peer review process is terrific. So we've done a great job there. But I'd like to know if you brought the team to tears like the elementary school did. That's a real standard here. If you were able to bring them to tears, I think that.
No, I did not. I think they were in tears because it was so much work, and we were all a little bit, it was tiring. And I think it came in the beginning of the school year and just waiting to find out when because they don't tell you until the day before. They give you the 15-day window, but they don't tell you until the day before. So, it's stressful. But everybody did a great job, and our new hire, Amy Reardon, who just stepped in as a Milestones teacher, she had never been as part of our professional staff before, so she did not know anything about putting together a program portfolio. And one of our teachers went out on maternity leave, so she just stepped in literally 2 weeks prior to them coming in. And her and Jesse Lichter did their entire program portfolio, and they did a phenomenal job. And the teachers were commended for their work on their portfolios. That was in the report. preliminary report. So they all did a great job.
That's great. Thank you, Lucy, for sharing your part of the agenda with me.
You're welcome.
My part of the agenda with you.
Scott?
So Lucy, first off. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Certainly a huge accomplishment for you, and certainly pass that along, I'm sure, from the entire committee to the rest of your team. I guess one of my questions I had was, you mentioned obviously this is different from the NEAS group. Is there a reason why we have a different accreditation for Shining Star versus the rest of the district? Is there a reason why we kind of went this direction? And
I don't know.
if you,
NEYC is early childhood accreditation.
Okay.
NEASC is primarily secondary and collegiate level.
right.
So they're really focused on.
Would Shining Star be able to be part of NEAS?
I don't
or
know.
is it, okay.
Yeah, that's something we have to look at.
And not that I'm
see.
looking to create more work for you, but just more of an
Well, I think it's an
understanding.
equal amount of work,
Right.
but I think as far as preparing for the visit, if we're already preparing for NEASC, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have us just get on board. And we did have some of the NEASC people come and visit. I don't know if it was just out of curiosity, but we had 2 or 3 people come down and visit our school anyway. So, and they did ask, I think one of the assessors from NEASC, who was also a preschool teacher, asked why we didn't have them instead of NEYC. So I don't know if other districts have NEASC.
Yeah,
for
I
early
don't know. I
childhood.
think the elementary world for NEASC is new. It's really, and new within the last 10 years or so. So we can look at that and see as a district that which is more rigorous and what does it make sense for us to do that. But I think just to answer your question, this has been NAEYC's been a more early childhood focused. The other secondary. With preschools.
Preschools are kind of separate entities, so it's kind of not policing is the wrong word, but some kind of agency that can do the separate entity preschools all around versus a
Right.
public school system, which would have the accreditation.
Which could be up to grade 6 or whatever.
Yeah,
it might be.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's unique to preschools. But
Still,
a lot of work.
it still proves that because of this accreditation, that Shining Star is offering that optimal learning experience
No question.
for children at that crucial age, which I think goes a long way and more or less gets them prepared for kindergarten and first grade and the rest of their career. So I think that's a great accomplishment. And also, too, there's, where Nancy's taken the double duty. I remember, Bob, when you made this change, when Mrs. Burns went to Memorial School, the director of the program also kept her current position as team chair as well. So there's other double duty
Oh, yeah,
in that regards as
that's
well.
right.
For Lucy,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lucy's
Two
been
of them.
involved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's right, Lucy.
My pleasure.
Mike?
Well, I was fortunate enough with Rob to attend the playground celebration. And I think if you were there, and I've always said this, there's no doubt in my mind that you wouldn't get accredited. Because it's a very special place with very special people. Afterwards, there was a reception, and you got to meet the teachers, you got to meet some of the parents. I think you do a phenomenal job, and just thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lucy.
Welcome.
Lucy, I do want to say one thing. You've come to speak to us, I think, 3 times since
Seems
the
like a
school
lot.
began.
Yeah.
And each time, we've had an opportunity to thank you for a job well done and congratulate you and your staff over something that you've done really well. And you're such a credit to the Milford Schools, and we just want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us and for doing the great job that you do.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good.
Thank you.
I will. Thanks. Have a
See
good
you
night.
next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.
The next item on our agenda is the report of the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
I have for the committee this evening 4 warrants. The first warrant is in the amount of $35,469.82.
I have a motion from Dawn, a second from Mike, approval on the warrant. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor, the motion carries.
The second warrant is in the amount of $387,251.87.
Motion from Rob, a second from Christine for approval of the warrant. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor, the motion carries.
The third warrant is in the amount of $451,796.57.
Motion from Scott, a second from Paul. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor, the motion carries.
The final warrant is in the amount of $22,618.29.
Motion from Mike, second from Dawn. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor. The motion carries.
I do have a list for the school committee's review of the latest appointments from our last meeting. I do have a request for professional development, which does require a vote in the amount of $6,397.
Terrific. Thank you.
Vote is required on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chair.
I'm sorry.
My
Did he
my
interrupt?
Bob was
you?
distracting me, yes.
I'm responsible for that.
I have a motion from Rob, a second from Chris, second from Mike. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor. The motion carries.
And we do have
Thank you.
gifts this evening.
Gifts. Right. Wow, we have
Yeah,
we
quite
have a lot of
few.
gifts. We have a gift from the Hill family in the amount of $50. We have a gift from the Whitley?
Yes.
Whitley?
I'm not sure.
The Whiteley family.
Whiteley?
I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name. I didn't mean to do so. It's a generous gift in the amount of $25. We have a gift from the Windsor family in the amount of $50. And we have a gift from the Prospect Heights Association. This is to the music department, and the amount is $100.
I think we have one more.
And our final gift is the Community Partner for Health. It is, the name of the gift is for the Family Network for the purpose of healthy choices and a healthy life, and the total gift is in the amount of $600.
Thank you, and that,
So we'd like to thank all these very generous gifts. If I could take all of the gifts in a single motion, motion from Dawn, second from Christine, to accept these gifts. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor. The motion carries. Thank you very much. I
thank you.
hope that we can acknowledge
We do, and we will.
the very generous gifts. The next item on our agenda are our subcommittee updates. Does the policy subcommittee have an update?
We have met, because there's a little mix-up, so we're going to meet again about the field policy and the facilities policy,
Great.
just to clean up some language and that, so it's a little clearer now that we have almost a year under our belts.
Great.
So we'll bring that, we'll have another meeting, and then we'll bring it to review by the committee.
Terrific, thank you. And does our safety and security subcommittee have an update? No update, okay. The next item on our agenda is new business. We actually had a school building committee meeting last night, and Bob's going to speak a little bit about the result of that. There's been sort of quite a number of things that have been happening over the course of the past 2 weeks. Members of the school building committee did go and visit 2 of the buildings, one in Norfolk and one in Uxbridge, that the project managers did complete. I had an opportunity to attend one of those meetings in Norfolk, spoke to the superintendent, toured the building. Of course, the building's gorgeous. Everything went off reasonably well. There weren't too many hitches. I think probably towards the end when we spoke to the superintendent, I think the most reassuring part was the budget that was approved by the MSBA was the actual budget of the building cost, which I thought was terrific, knowing that there's not going to be, or there weren't a lot of overruns, at least in one of those projects. And also, very reassuringly, the last question that we asked the superintendent before we left was, if you pick up the phone and call the project manager, does someone call back? And she said yes immediately, which is another thing that I think is really important to everybody involved in this project. So those are the qualitative things, and I think Bob can speak a little bit more about some of the quantitative pieces. I know that there was a meeting this morning, which I wasn't a part of, but Bob was, so.
Sure, just to bring the committee up to speed, last night, as Patrick mentioned, the school building committee met to review the recommendation from the school, the owner's project manager subcommittee. There was two people who made the short list. One was called Collaborative Partners, the other is Jocelyn Lesser and Associates. The recommendation put forward by the selection committee was Jocelyn Lesser and Associates. Last night they made a presentation, and that school building committee unanimously voted to enter negotiations for contracts. 6:30 this morning, we met with Jocelyn Lesser and Associates to discuss that, and we settled on a contract, and now we're drafting that up. We'll submit that to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. So in terms of timeline, by December 12th, we are expected to have the packet submitted. That'll actually be going out tomorrow, so we'll be ahead of that deadline. We've had a pretty good track record for being ahead of those deadlines at the MSBA. The next step in the process will be a board review by the School Building Authority, in which we'll go into Boston, myself and members of the school building committee, and Patrick, you're able to go in. A number of us will go into Boston, and along with Jocelyn Lesser and Associates, their representative there for MSBA final approval of that, and then we'll execute that contract. We'll sign off, assuming it meets MSBA's criteria. We visited the two schools in Uxbridge and in Norfolk because Jocelyn Lesser and Associates was the OPM for those jobs. So a part of our visit was really twofold. One was to see the school facilities and what potential there is for Milford, and then also to find out, as a reference check, did they do the job that they said they would do. And just this morning, now we haven't signed our part of the contract yet, and Jeff Luxembourg, who we met with yesterday, responded to my phone twice to my one phone call today. So he's already demonstrated great response time and follow-up and guiding us through the process. After January 7th meeting, assuming board approval there, the next step will be to secure a designer, an architect, that our project manager, the Milford's town representative project manager, will help us define that architect that best meets our needs, and then we go forward with feasibility work from there. So those are the next steps in the timeline. We'd expect that the architect would be on board probably February, March, and they actually begin to do the feasibility work between March and June. So that's kind of the rough timeline of what will happen from there. But it's been I mean, you have to imagine, it's great, a great representation on the school building committee. It's just outstanding. The questions are hard. The interview for these guys was rigorous, and the contract negotiations this morning was out of this world. Watching the questions being asked, you have to imagine, and I don't think he mind me saying it, but you have to know Pat Kennelly and the kinds of questions he'd ask in a contract negotiation, and between him and Jonathan Bruce and Lou Salati, it was just a great. I'm not a voting member of that subcommittee, but I'm a member of the school building committee, as you know, and it was just great to see that kind of attention to having the interest of Milford put on the table, and the town should be very proud to have that group representing. You know, Christine, your dad, and I said I saw your dad last night, and he asked some good hard questions as well.
He had some hard questions last night. He certainly did.
He
So.
was on the Woodland, I think it was, and
He was on two of
like
them,
Brookside
actually.
too.
That's right.
Back in the day.
We're talking about the institutional knowledge that he
Yeah.
has, because he had these. He remembered he remembered watching boulders being dug out of the property when Woodland was first built.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's a neat perspective.
So
to
he'll have a
have.
very interesting perspective on this project going
Because I
forward.
think I went to kindergarten at Woodland.
Oh.
I think at one point, I don't know.
And we happened upon some plans. Jonathan came in today, and we happened upon some plans that HMFH Architect some years back actually did a design. If you recall, they went through to look at a number of locations in town for a new school or not a new school, and we have these big prints that we found. So we really have some great work that's been done on this already that we'll share with the OPM and moving forward on that. But
Isn't it more favorable to go, though? Doesn't the state have plans that you choose from for reimbursement now? Isn't that how it
The
works?
model building
Model-
is,
yeah, there's several.
that's right.
yeah, there is a model building. The problem is that the facility that we're building is so unique. A middle school the size of an elementary school the
Like
size.
high school that they have those models.
Of 146,000 square foot elementary school will be the largest in the state.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
so
so
they
it's not a
don't-
model.
I understand. Oh, wow. Okay.
Design enrollment of 985 students.
I see.
But perhaps we could find a way to say, maybe we could be the new model for a large intermediate elementary
Right.
school. Maybe there's a perk there, but whatever points we can get in the interview process, Jocelyn and Lesser Associates were clear on, they are very good about getting as many credits from the MSBA for reimbursement as possible. So they'll find, if there's an avenue to be found, these guys showed us.
Well, and they've
they'll
also
find it.
they've been through this MSBA process, actually at least 5 times that they mentioned
Oh,
last
yeah.
night, and I'm sure more times than that. So if there's anyone that's prepared to sort of optimize the way they work with the MSBA, it's them.
Where are they at?
The Melrose, the gentleman I was working with, Jeff Luxembourg, is out of Melrose. I'm not sure if that's where he lives or it's where the office is, but they've attended, and these meetings, the 6:30 in the morning meetings, they've been early for. Yeah, and their whole team, 5, 6 of them coming out, very well
You find
prepared.
One person that this, like say this Jeff, that's your go-to guy, not
He was
and
there last night.
associates.
Yeah, and I think once we have the team in place, you know, if the chairman of the committee would like, we could have a presentation and have them just introduce themselves
Oh, I
to the
think
school.
we'll definitely have that.
So the
when
school
that
committee
happens.
gets to know who the players are.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. What I'd like, Bob, is I'd like them to come in and give an abbreviated presentation that they gave to the
Like last
the
night's.
subcommittee, so they can show us their thought process and how those pieces worked out. Yeah.
I think that's going to be critical for a variety of reasons, not the
Yeah.
least of which is I think it's great that we've got, and it's critical that we have this building committee, but at the end of the day, once this building ultimately gets built, it's gonna be in the care of the 7 members of the school committee, so it's gonna be critical that we have that knowledge, so.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if they came in and we had that knowledge kind of in the forefront, and periodic updates wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah. We take for granted, I think, that we go to these meetings, so we don't think necessarily everyone's is in the know on that, so I do apologize, but we'll try to make sure we make this a regular part of the agenda as we start to have now some progress moving forward. We're happy to give those updates to you.
Well, and I think now we're starting to make decisions. You know, whereas before there wasn't a lot happening. Now it's really gonna start. Right.
Yeah,
And it's deadline driven, so.
that's right, yeah. And it's, I don't know if anything else I can elaborate more on that.
No, I
or-
think the elaboration was terrific, thank you. Next item on our agenda is old business. Does any member have old business? Don?
Yeah, we held the coaching clinic on Tuesday.
Oh,
So thanks to Richie, and it's nice to turn around and see you there, Bob. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. That was nice, but went well. There were about 45 coaches there, and seemed to be pretty well received. And
45.
45, I
That's
think.
great.
Yeah, and we went as far as to, in fact, giving them all PDPs, a lot of the teacher coaches that are there, for them for recertification. This is helpful. It's one more piece for them so for an hour and a half presentation. Yeah, we give them all certificates for participating in that, going above and beyond.
I wish I could remember the guy's name. It was like Rick Riley, or I
Oh,
can't remember.
yeah.
I wish I had written it down. He was great. He went a
Very even-tempered. Just
yeah,
very, like,
even-tempered,
calm and
great,
nice.
great experience. He was a coach in Marlboro forever. He was in AD, and I forget where he was like a volunteer AD at one place.
Yeah, and also one of the private schools for
something
St. John's or something.
Phillips.
Yeah, and he
But-
knew a lot of the coaches in the audience too.
Yeah, so he was
from-
calling a lot of them out by name and stuff like that. But no, it was good. The two things that I think he focused on were handling, issues with parents. But the main thing that he stressed throughout the whole thing was keeping your poise. And I think it was a good message for everybody.
Any other members have old business? I did want to mention, Kathy, not to put you on the spot, but did you have an opportunity to talk to our insurance agent about the cataclysmic injury policy that Paul spoke about at our last
No,
meeting?
I have not heard back from them. Now that you say that, I'll have to follow up. Give them a call back. Sure.
We have no executive session this evening. So that being said, I have a motion from Dawn, a second from Mike, to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor? Thank you very much, everyone.